Welcome to ParadoxWalk podcast, specializing in paranormal activity, UFOs, glitch in the matrix type things, dream realities, cryptids, anything completely out of the ordinary. This is episode 13, and today we have a story of somebody that woke up one day and a different layout of their house was there. Another one is a government employee witnesses an insane UFO report, records it successfully, has a second witness watch it. Then after they report it, it goes missing from their government phone, which was also uploaded to a server, and is missing from everything. It is the first week of October 2022, and I'm just going to get right into the first story. So this is an exclusive. This is somebody I know. I used to live in the Albuquerque area, and I have really close people that I keep in contact with in the Roswell area, and there is more than one or two crazy stories coming from those areas. The whole state of New Mexico is full of all kinds of different mysteries and not just sightings in the skies, but people seeing chupacabras and creatures that shouldn't exist, weird things like that. So this is her story. She was coming back from work one night, and she was on a road between the cities of Tatum, which is a very small town. No one's probably ever heard of that. So she was driving between Tatum and Roswell. Roswell, everybody in the whole world knows, even though it's kind of a small town. But she describes this empty freeways. They're just empty, isolated areas, complete desert. A lot of military presence, like abandoned missile silos, all kinds of stuff. I think both Roswell and Albuquerque has the big one, but Roswell has another military base, if I remember right. So she's driving there, and she calls them bright orbs, were chasing each other in the sky. She said it was completely insane. They were also exploding and imploding, which seems odd. Her first reaction was to pull out her cell phone, and she started filming. And she says not only was she filming this whole thing, but they were just putting on this massive display in the sky. And she remembers particularly looking through the screen of her phone, making sure that the little recording icon was recording and that she was capturing all this action. At some point in the video, she says, like, out of nowhere, she just sees her whole area light up like it was daytime. And while she's filming, and she films this too, her words, if I remember this right, was something like, you can hear me on the video yelling like, oh my God, what the F is going on? What is that? And then the lights, and her words were, they responded to my voice, and they shot all the way to the other side of the sky in like no time, and then they disappeared, and doing so, just leaving her on the side of the road in the dark by herself. And at that point, she just got back into her car and drove off back to Roswell. So when she makes it to her house, she says there wasn't any missing time or anything, and she makes it to her house, and she had somebody, like a friend of the family, watching her house, pets and stuff. And so she shows him, and she's like, look at this. And they're like, oh my God, what is that? What's going on? And I guess they were both just blown away by this footage. She's like, okay, someone else is seeing this. They decide that they're supposed to report this to MUFON. So the first thing they do is they go on the internet and they write an email, and she describes what she saw, documenting it. The witness admits that neither of them were tech experts. So she says after they sent the email reporting the sighting and describing having video evidence, she said it was almost immediate. They get a response saying, please upload your video evidence. And she was like, this was maybe between like 2014, 2015. So she didn't really have super good knowledge of taking something from a cell phone, connecting it to the desktop computer, copying the files. She wasn't ready to do all that at that night. And either was the house sitter. They decided, well, they'll just do it in the morning. So the next morning, the guy, the second witness, the guy that watched the videos, calls her up, and he's like, hey, let's upload this footage. Like, let's figure out how to do this. She's like, all right, so I guess he goes over to her house, or whatever ended up happening is they were both sitting there trying to find this video, and it was gone. She has like a government phone. She was a government employee using that phone. She says not only is her phone like triple protected because of work she had to do, it was like password protected for everything. So she said there was like 3 layers of passwords and little things to get through to delete something. The other thing that was weird is that everything was being uploaded to its server. I just thought, what a weird coincidence that it was right after they reported it to MUFON that it was gone. And when asking about the server, right away she called the IT department of her work, asking for help in retrieving the deleted video. From this point on, I'm just going to call her Rhonda. The IT department helped her look first on the phone again, and then I guess it's an iCloud account that the IT department has access to. It was not there. The IT department told Rhonda specifically that even if she accidentally deleted it on her phone, that it definitely would have been backed up where he was looking in the cloud, the server. It was gone, nothing was there. And then she followed up that comment by saying, seriously, if her house sitter hadn't seen it, that she might have even thought that, she was imagining the whole thing. So yeah, she was real thorough on trying to get this video back. They watched it, she thought, between like 15 and 20 times in a row that night because it was so wild, especially the part where she said it just lit up the whole area around her, like from nighttime to daytime. And she said you could instantly see everything, her car, her logo on the car, government logo on the car. Yeah, she was pretty bummed that video got deleted. When I asked about the movements of these things, like exploding and imploding, her comment was something along the lines of, it didn't seem to have any kind of clear purpose to the movements. She was really freaked out, probably a lot of high adrenaline while she was watching that and just making sure she was recording. They were like big balls of light, and when they imploded like just the opposite of exploding, like if you'd, I guess, like put it on reverse. Just wild stuff. I can't remember hearing a story like that. So there would be no way for it to, in a normal everyday setting, for it to just be deleted, not show up, the guy can't find it. Like, that doesn't make any like logical sense. My guess is some kind of entities that can, just kind of manipulate tech in a way that we don't understand, just got that video out of her phone and got it out of the server. I'm sure they can do that. I think an iPhone is like a stick to one of these things. Like, they can just do whatever they want with it. It's not like high tech to them. Like to us it is, but to them it's not. The story gets a little stranger as well, because Roswell is such a hot spot for these conferences and UFO stuff, and there was a MUFON convention in Roswell. So her idea was to tell her story. I guess that one of the main directors was at the conference, and I guess he had a table set up, and she told her story. She told him what happened. When she was explaining to me his reaction, she said it seemed so odd because not only, he didn't seem surprised by it, but he also didn't seem to care. I don't know. Maybe they meet a lot of wackos, being MUFON. But the second thing she said was even more strange. She said that his pretty much only statement was, hey, why don't we all get a picture? Like, that was the first thing his mind went to. I guess, like, she had family there and stuff, like, they all kind of went. Not only is her sighting was totally swept under the rug, deleted from existence, but the MUFON guy doesn't seem to react at all to her story, and also wants to get almost like record of her appearance. It's just, I don't know, that story just seems so bizarre. When talking to Rhonda, I said, hey, what happened to the email? So why don't we just at least, check that out? That was deleted. That was gone. Possibly another reason why she said, like, if the second witness didn't see this video, she was like, I would have maybe thought that, like, I dreamed it up or something. So at least there's that. This can be collaborated by two different people. And I've heard from both of them. I've talked to both of them. It doesn't end there. Another road trip that Rhonda went on coming back from Albuquerque. It was an Albuquerque work trip, Roswell to Albuquerque and then back. She had to go, and she had a coworker with her in the car. They stopped in the city of Vaughn. Vaughn, if you just like kind of looked at it, wouldn't look like a city. It's really, really small, and there's like this big gas station gift shop type thing, and it's on the way to Roswell from Albuquerque. So at that stop, they got snacks. Her and her coworker got snacks, and she texted her son that they'll be about, it's about an hour and a half or so to Roswell. So, just letting him know we're on our way. We'll be there. And you lose signal a lot driving outside of Albuquerque. So it's a good spot to, send a message. Like, I used to do that. I've made that trip a bunch of times. She gets like popcorn and snacks, and then while they're driving away, or pretty quick after the stop, her coworker says, hey, look at that tree. That is such a weird tree. And think about it, like that's desert, like in the movies type desert around there. There's not a lot of trees anyway, but so that's the commentary from that trip. And then I asked, like, what was the tree? She goes, I don't remember looking at the tree. Actually, the next thing that Rhonda told me she remembered was pulling up in her driveway. But it was 5 p.m. at night with her coworker. And her son was in the driveway already, running out, freaking out. So imagine this scene. The son was yelling things like, we were about to call the state police. Like, what happened to you? Why did it take so long? Where did you go? You know, like normal things. And then she says, I just remember wondering what he was so upset about. She wasn't thinking about the missing time yet, even though he was saying it. So she was kind of describing a daze. And she said her coworker was sitting there saying nothing. And the son was sitting there like yelling to her. And she wasn't even thinking about the missing time. She wasn't thinking about what happened. All she was thinking about was like, why is he so upset? And she kept kind of saying this when I was like, she really wanted to reiterate that point. To her, it seemed like she was in almost like a daze, and it seemed like her coworker was in the same type of daze. And the weird thing was is that they almost didn't even think about it at all, what happened that day, until like years later. The coworker called her up to ask her what happened that day. They have no memory of anything except the tree, and her saying, what a weird tree. There was just something weird about this tree, and that was the last thing they both remember. Now, they got food, right? She makes this comment to me that the food was eaten. The weird thing is that she obviously doesn't have anything wrong with her memory, because she could list off everything that she bought, like to this day, and this was about 10 years ago. She started saying the flavor of the snacks, that she got multiple candies. She had a large bottle of water. She had all these little snacks that she could list off like perfectly, but she couldn't tell me one thing about what happened in the 4 or 5 hours. So the coworker couldn't remember anything either, even years later. And the weird thing was that she said that they never talked about it until that one time when the coworker called, and they tried like to almost like go back and forth to see if they could piece anything together, and they couldn't. The roads to Roswell, things outside of Albuquerque, like if you get on some of these like lonely roads, like they are, there's nothing else like it, I tell you. The only thing I could kind of add is like I've heard of these things called screen memories, and I was kind of letting her know maybe the tree wasn't a tree. Sounds like the tree was something else. I've heard of these stories of people saying that they stop at a